Welcome to Steps, a podcast celebrating people and their stories. Far too often, we don't give people the opportunity to share their journey, where they've come from, what they've overcome, and the amazing things that have happened in their lives. That's what we're going to do on Steps. We'll have real conversations with real people to understand how they've gotten to this place in time. Confucius said, "The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step." So, let's start this journey. My name is Steve Venzel. I'm a former college volleyball coach who has a passion for stories. In particular, other people's stories. Our conversation today is with Greg Mead. Greg is the CEO and one of the founders of CROSSNET and has also been named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Growing up in Connecticut, Greg has a wealth of experiences to share with the world. In this episode, we chat about how he and his two other co-founders came up with the CROSSNET idea and built it into the company that it is today. Greg embodies the entrepreneurial spirit. We also discuss some of the key things that he has learned on his journey. Quick disclaimer, Greg and I talk a bit about cryptocurrency and the NFT space. None of our conversation is financial advice. Please seek professional investment advice and do your own research. Now, let's get into the conversation with Greg. Today we're here with Greg Mead, CEO of CROSSNET. Greg, how are you, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. So one of the questions I love to start any podcast is fill us in. Where are you at? What's going on in Greg's world?
I am in Bend, Oregon. For many of the people out there that haven't heard of that, it's a little town city in the middle of Oregon on like the east side of it in the woods next to Mount Bachelor. I'm here just for the month, just grinding away, focusing on the new year and just really locking in.
Why Bend? Why'd you choose there?
I like the nature. I'm in a little farmhouse Airbnb for the month, and I like the nature. I like the mountains. I like getting out and hiking. I'm in Tampa. I live in Tampa now, but you can't really go out in Tampa and like go hiking to the woods, and so I like that stuff, and I need to change the scenery.
Yeah, no, Bend and Tampa are two drastically different areas. My brother-in-law lives down in Bend, and it's funny. We took my wife and I took a trip out there before we had even moved. So for those of you who don't know, and Greg, you and I chatted, but I'm based in Portland, Oregon right now. So prior to us moving out to Portland, even before there was a job offer, we visited my brother-in-law. And so you want to talk about nature and beauty. We were living in Atlanta at the time, and we drove from Portland, we drove down to Bend, and I mean, it's just like, it's God's country. It's the best way to describe it. Mountains and then rivers, and then you got Bachelor with the snow and everything. And so I get it.
And the cute little town, it's like you're in one of those movies, like the fake towns, the town's perfect. It's like, that's what it is. It's close thing to it.
Oh, it absolutely is. And again, it's such an outdoors vibe, right? Like, I mean, you walk down the street or you're driving down the street and everybody's got a Subaru with, a roof rack on top and the dog out the back window and then a bike on the back.
Yep. That's what I was just telling my girlfriend. I was like, everyone's just like still walking out here. There's like 50 people out walking in the town. It's like freezing below. It's like -2.
Well, compared to Tampa, I mean, obviously, you're probably freezing your butt off.
Yeah, but I'm from New England originally, so I still have that cold blood in me. So,
well, it's funny because the cold blood never leaves, but the blood definitely thins whenever you get into warmer areas. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, it does for sure. I'm shivering sometimes.
Oh, I bet. So, you're CEO. CROSSNET, like you're in Bend, you say you normally operate out of Tampa, right? Like what offers, obviously a CEO, you get the opportunity to kind of write your ticket, write your card, do whatever. But like, I want us, before we go into that kind of stuff, you mentioned you're from like the New England area and cold and Connecticut, right?
Yep.
So like, I actually kind of want to go back a little bit, and I'd love to hear kind of like your Genesis story, or kind of learn a little bit more about the background, where you started, where you came from, what took you to Tampa that eventually led you to Bend on, what are we talking, the 17th of January?
Cool. So grew up born in White Plains, New York, then moved to Connecticut for my parents' jobs. And then went to Canterbury for middle school. High school, I went to Woodstock, middle of nowhere farm town, like top right of Connecticut. And then after that, went to college at Eastern Connecticut State University, which is right next to UConn. So we'd party with the Yukon kids, all that stuff.
Good old Stores, Connecticut.
Yeah, Stores. I used to drive there for like Blaze Pizza or something when that launched. And then eventually when I was in college, I was like really just diving into like, how can I survive? Like, how can I pay the rent, the $500, and how can I make it through college? And after college, I don't work for someone. I'm doing something my own for myself, on my own time. So I learned that. I dove into a few like apps, like make people download apps. I would like be knocking on doors of like these chicks and like, download the app, getting numbers. And then I'd make money off of that somehow. And then I used to do like energy drinks, sell them, and like I would actually make money off these like schemes, and most people wouldn't. So it was cool.
So it sounds like being a serial entrepreneur, like that's something that's been in your blood. And I'm curious, I wonder where it comes from, because you said you moved to Connecticut because of your parents' jobs, right? What did your parents do?
My dad worked at a furniture company, and my mom worked up for like the city of Norwich, Connecticut. Got it.
So that took you there. So where did the entrepreneur side of things come from?
Well, I guess like when I got to end of high school, we were doing like an Amazon drop shipping company for my brother's fraternity. People in his fraternity started this company, hired Chris, and then they needed more people. So Chris obviously referred me, and we were both grinding, and like we were selling like drop shipping baby products on Amazon, and crushed it for this company. And they're still like good friends to this day. And they made other companies that you may have heard of, like freeup.com. They outsourced virtual assistants and stuff, and they sold that. So they started there, and we helped them with that journey. And it was really cool. It was eye-opening to really see like, wow, like the internet's crazy. You can do anything on this, whether it's social media, Amazon, flipping websites, like you could do anything. So we started with that. And then one day in college, my brother's college roommate hit us up and was like, hey, let's start this company. It was like a smoking company. So we started, we grinded on it for like years. And it didn't really get anywhere. We didn't make money off of it. And then eventually, it was like 4 years after not making any money, we started another company based off that one called The Glunt. It was like a glass smoking accessory. Mm-hmm. I don't smoke. I never have used the product, but it used to be super popular like 6 years ago. And we took it to a few $1 million. And that's how the entrepreneurship kind of grind started. Definitely some hard times, struggling, trying to make ends meet. It was tough, difficult times.
Well, and again, like that's one of the things, and like the lens at which I look through things, right? My parents were similar to your parents, right? They've got a traditional, 9-to-5 job. They've got this, whatever it is, right? And I remember my dad he got involved with a lot of these like get rich quick schemes. Like again, it was air purifiers. It was BioLine, like it was supposed to be cutting edge, nutrition supplements. I mean, at one point in time, my dad was selling hovercrafts. And I'm from Ohio, right? Like you talk like I'm not kidding you. We had a hovercraft parked in our driveway, right? So I sat and I watched these things, and he was wildly unsuccessful at just about everything that he did. But, then he got a job. He worked for the county. My mom cut hair. She worked for a grocery store. And then, at the tail end of her career, she ended up working for a nursing facility. But that's Cleveland, east side of Cleveland, Ohio. Like, that's what I know. I know sitting and you do what you need to do to pay the bills. You do all of those things. But like, it was never ingrained in me from the space of like the entrepreneur space. And it doesn't sound like it was either for you. It just, you kind of happened to stumble in it, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. Want to take advantage of the opportunities that were, presented to me, for sure.
Now, that's a scary place to be, right? Because again, like you mentioned a lot of these things, like you're in college or just out of college. I mean, I'm sure funds are tight and all that stuff. Like, how the heck did you decide? Like, yeah, let's go. I'm gonna grind. Whether it's a smoking company, it's this smoking accessory company. It's like, how did you determine that you were going to be all in on whatever it was and just go?
It was definitely making an impact on like your personal self. Like, let's focus on this one thing and be an entrepreneur and grind it out. It'll work itself out one way or another. Whether you're making $100 a day or $1 million a day, it's going to work out. Definitely having a focus of like putting your family first, your friends first, and like making sure If you do this, you know that your mom's going to be good for the rest of her life. So that's definitely always been in the back of my head since day one.
Is that that's a big driving factor for you, like family and being able to provide and be able to, I mean, you mentioned like take care of your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely the number one goal for sure. I mean, we were speaking earlier too, like my dad passed away. So it's been my mom for like the last 10 years by herself. So that sucks. So I need to make sure she's good for the rest of her life, and we're getting there sooner than later.
You brought it up and we talked about it earlier, but like, can I ask, like, what happened with your dad?
Accident, drinking. So don't drink. It's not good. And it can take your life short. So unfortunate situations happen like that in people's lives. And, they're eye-opening to a lot of people. And they'll change your perspective on life and how you talk and how you perceive your emotions. And it changes people, and, it can motivate people. And it certainly motivated me and my brother. And we wouldn't be here without some of these situations that have happened in our lives, for sure.
And so it's a similar situation for me. And again, I've shared it publicly, but not like it didn't tie to drinking or anything like that. But like my mom passed, it's been 20 years since my mom passed. It was this past summer. Right. So, and what I find interesting is, and again, your first response was, "Hey, I'm sorry." And, and it's reciprocal. Right. But like, if I take a step back and like reflect on it, because again, I've had 20 years to reflect on, you've had 10 years to sit and reflect. Like, I wouldn't change anything in the world. Would I love to be able to go back and have another conversation with my mom, or for her to meet like her grandkids, right? I've got two kids, a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. Like, absolutely. And in the next breath, the interesting thing is I know that I wouldn't be exactly where I'm at right now had that not happened, had that fork in the road I'd be forced down this road to go through all the hard times and all the like craziness that I've been through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Agree with that.
And it's tough, man. It really is, because again, the more, and even just as I sit and I reflect on it, right? Like, drinking was a big part of my family's life. Like, I mean, again, both of my parents were alcoholics. I grew up in that. It's been since April of this past year that I haven't had a drink, but I've always been like a casual drinker, right? Yeah. Like, and it just socially or whatever, I enjoyed a good bourbon. And for me, as I have started on the path of therapy and I'm learning different things along the way, like, a lot of this comes up and it becomes a lot more clear that, hey, for me, again, and this isn't for everybody, but it's not something that's necessary in my life. And obviously it had an impact in my earlier childhood. And it sounds like, that's one of the reasons why, it may be the only reason or one of the reasons why you say, hey, you don't drink. I mean, obviously it directly impacted you in your life.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And it's made me, like I said, some decisions are based on the things that have happened in my life. So I don't drink, I don't smoke. If I did drink, if I did smoke, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you on a podcast, you interested in my life, So everyone goes through these struggles, some struggles similar to this. Some people can't relate to it, especially at like our age. It hurts younger. Certainly death hurts younger than when your parents are older. So situations, and they'll bring you to, to places where you need to be if you focus and you keep on the steady track.
Was it, and again, just reflecting back on kind of my journey, I've got two younger brothers, right? So, I mean, I'm the oldest of three. I was 21 at the time. And my mom was 41 when she passed. And again, as I look back, right, like, it wasn't apparent to me that like, hey, this is the path that I need to be going down. This is going to serve as a motivating factor for me and my family, and to try to figure that out. For you, was it clear out of the gate, or was it just, you kind of stumbled and was trying to figure out life?
It was definitely trying to figure out life, for sure. I still am. Yeah. I think everyone still is. But once you got a grasp of one of these things in the entrepreneurship field, like once I started doing the Amazon thing, I knew anything was possible after that. Just knowing how the universe and the internet works. So definitely honed in on that. My mom didn't like distract me and just say focus on your studies and stuff. She let me be myself, and let me destroy her houses with product and shipments. And we used to have trucks coming into the house. We destroyed the basements.
Yeah, you mentioned that kind of early on, and as I was kind of doing a little bit more research about you, some of the interviews you talked about, like from that, like you were obviously doing stuff and tearing up the house and trying to figure out all this entrepreneurial stuff while in your mom's house, right? Like, what was it that I'm assuming it was CROSSNET that kind of got you out, but like, what was that pivotal moment that you're like, okay, look, I gotta get out of here. I've got to leave mom. Like, here is my path.
Yeah. Well, my path actually took mom with me. So,
all right.
Me, Chris, and my mom, and then like my buddy Jake and our other partner Mike. We're all like, hey guys, like when we started CROSSNET, we needed to get out of Woodstock. We grew up on the farms. People aren't playing volleyball there, you know what I'm saying? So we decided to move directly to Miami Beach. We had no idea. We'd never been there before, never visited. We packed all our houses. I remember putting my whole entire apartment house in this little truck, and I just drove it down. And we got 2 apartments. Jake and Mike were below us, and me, Chris, my mom slept in the apartment on the top floor. Really fun. But at that moment, it was definitely because of the game. And then like, obviously we had some life changes, girlfriends, hiccups. And we just sent it to Miami. And it was great. We never looked back. And looking back on it though, we shouldn't have moved to Miami. We should have moved to a place that was like more volleyball culture.
As opposed to like Miami culture.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know though. We had no idea that we were going to like a crazy madhouse party beach. We had no idea. We were young, naive, and never stepped foot on Miami Beach. But it was fun. We had a great time, a lot of learning experiences, a lot of friends made. Good times for sure.
Can we talk about the genesis of CROSSNET, right? I mean, again, we fast forward, hey, we're already in Miami, but like, where did it come from? What was that like for you and your partners and founders?
Yeah. So our co-founder, Mike, and our other co-founder, Chris, my brother, Mike graduated from college like the day after. He knew I was doing Glunt and other entrepreneur projects online and stuff. So he called me up. He's like, Greg, let's make something. And long story short, he came over. We watched ESPN all day. And then we came up with the next beach game. Mike said Foursquare volleyball. Light bulbs, flipped on. We went to Walmart the next day, got badminton nets, rigged them up, made CROSSNET, made Foursquare volleyball. And we had some friends come over. We played. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun on a shitty net, right? Shitty makeshift net. Yeah. And then it took about a year to get final prototype, 9 months, 10 months. And we finally got prototype. We went to work straight after that day. As soon as that day was done, me and Mike and Chris went to work. And it took a while to get a final prototype that we actually felt comfortable sending out to customers buying. But still, we've had to remake CROSSNET so many times after that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd imagine it, right? It evolves, but here you are. Okay, got this great idea. Okay, let's go buy badminton nets. Let's set it up in the backyard and let's just screw around and see if we have some fun with it and see if we can make some, like, obviously end game, make money, be able to create whatever it is. And like for me, for other people out there, right? Like everybody gets these ideas. Everybody gets, hey, and here you guys are in Connecticut. Hey, let's just go ahead and let's do this, right? Because you've got that blood and you've got that spirit. I'd imagine that, and you mentioned it evolved, it changed. Like, how do you keep going in moments like that to where, like, obviously questions are going to bubble up. Like, you're like, what the hell are we doing?
I think, it's good. That's a good question. And I think for a lot of companies, a lot of CPG companies, a lot of tech companies, you may have some hesitance, if someone going to use this, but for us, we were super confident off the gates. Like, we knew as soon as we had that first prototype, we set it up, we brought it to a beach. And we were just going to play this one time. First time we ever had the prototype. We were so excited. We brought it to Rhode Island, Narragansett, and that's where we grew up. We went to Narragansett Beach in Rhode Island, and we set it up. And we're trying to play with like 4 or 5 of our friends, just us, just to play and test it and have a good time. Eventually, there was 30 kids in line, ages 12 to 16, and we didn't get a chance to play that day because we're like, screw it. We need to have the kids play, not us. It's not about us. And so as soon as we saw that line, I think that first time was really like, okay, we're doing this and this will be good. Like, CROSSNET's going to sell itself. It doesn't matter if it's me, Mike, Chris, anyone's behind it, the game's going to sell itself. So.
I mean, you want to talk about like hitting a home run with your first market research, right? Like it's just like, the funny thing is, I'm picturing it in my head, right? Like here you are. Like, what is that? What's going? Hey, can we play? Yeah, sure. Because I mean, again, like the concept of Foursquare, that's something I grew up playing, right? And again, I'm a little bit older than you, but like I distinctly have memories of in the front of our driveway, waiting for the bus. All the kids, because our driveway was the bus stop, right? And we had a big old apron and playing Foursquare, right? So like to me, I'm like, wow, okay. And then I'm a former college volleyball coach, right? So like, dude, they're like, okay, this is amazing, but like it's and you take it out to the beach and you're like, we've got something here.
Yeah.
So then like what? And I'm fascinated about the entrepreneurial mind, and I think a lot of our listeners, come from all walks of life. A lot of volleyball focus, so we'll have a lot of people that are listening that are that know the game and have seen it. But like, you've got this, you feel like you've got this home run. Then what? Well, like, what do you guys get? What are you doing? What's the play?
Yeah, gotta stay lean, smart. We only had each of us only had like $10,000 to throw in here around there, so. We bootstrapped it. We're still self-funded, and we stay lean for 2 years, 2.5 years until we start really hiring people. But before we started hiring people in the upcoming, we would just literally take it out to beaches. So when we moved to South Beach, we would go to this spot called Nikki Beach. It's on the corner. It's the nice part of South Beach, where it's not slammed with people doing drugs and alcohol. And we'd just go there, set it up, and every time we'd go there, we noticed a sale would trickle in within like 72 hours. So that was our physical presence in the beginning, because we didn't want to spend too much money on Facebook ads. We weren't sure what we were doing in the beginning. We were doing Twitter ads. I was good at Twitter ads, and eventually it was a trickle effect, and then we started getting momentum, and we take the money we'd earn and put it right back into the business, into ads, into Facebook ads, Google ads, and just growing the business, content. So
what was your background in school? Like, did you go to school for like entrepreneurial
business marketing?
Okay.
But I can say I didn't learn anything in school. Unfortunately, it could have been my school. I'm not anti-college, but everything I learned was from my phone.
You've got people like Gary Vee that talk about a lot about that, right? Like, I mean, again, if you're out there and trying to make it work, there's like, and that's what's going on right now, right? Whether you talk about starting your own business, starting a podcast, like people are searching for multiple like revenue streams and income streams. And again, I'm no different than that, right? Like here I am, I've started a podcast. This is going to be episode 5 or 6, right? And I'm sitting there, okay, let's keep pushing. Let's figure out how we make this great. And then, okay, can you monetize it? And how do you grow it? And so for you guys to do it, and again, I don't want people to sit and think that like this is something that happened overnight, right? You've got this spirit. You continue to keep moving through things, but yet here you are, and you continue to persist. You continue to move things forward, and I wanted to like keeping it with the entrepreneurial mind, but like, dude, that's got to be hard as hell from a like a mental perspective, from a like I hate personally, and I'll probably get chastised for it. I hate the word grind. To me, it has this negative connotation. Like it's just like, and yes, I understand that we need to work hard, but like when you're in it and it's hard, right? Like how did you deal with things? You've already said you don't drink, you don't do drugs, right? And those are normal things that people lean into to mask pain, to hide, to not feel, to go from that. Like, can you share any experiences or how you kind of got through some of those hard times?
Yeah, definitely. There's different routes you could take, right? Like, so I lean on my partners. I lean on Chris, my brother. I lean on Mike, my friend. We counted on each other, especially in the first 3 years, right? It was just us pretty much. So we would count on each other. I know if I do something, I slack off that day, I know I'm letting Mike down. I know I'm letting Chris down, and vice versa for them too. So we would lean on each other big time. And then we'd always be together too. So we'd always stay active. When you're done working for the day, whether that's, 2 o'clock or 7 o'clock, go be active. Go try to put the phone down. I haven't been good at it at all. I know Mike and Chris are better at it than me, but try to dive into different things. I play basketball. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays here now. That's what I love. That's what we grew up playing, was basketball and soccer, not volleyball. So stay focused and put the damn phone down, put the computer down, close the laptop. Mental health is like huge, and I'm definitely feeling the effects of it. 5 years later, 10 years later now for me, in my whole journey. So it's tough. It does get tough, and I'm honestly not the best person to get advice for how you can manage your time, because people are like, oh, you work 9 to 5 or whatever you do, but it's like, no, it's like 7 days. It's been 7 days a week for 7 years, 10 years. Like, so,
it's a couple different things. So we're going to go here, and then I'm going to come back to you saying, put the damn phone down. But 7 days a week for the, past X amount of years, right? Like, what is a day or a couple typical days look like? And I understand in the entrepreneur space, no day is the same, right? Like I totally understand that. Our listeners, I'm sure, understand that. But like, what's a day? What's an average day or a different day look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so for busy days, we'll have like Wednesdays, we'll have meetings. I'll have meetings from Pacific time now, 9 to 1, whatever it is. So get busy with meetings and make sure, from my perspective, so everything has changed as like being a CEO. Is like, at first I was really honing in, like doing marketing, sales, like trying to just outreach and network and make the business grow. Now I have to take a step back and communicate with employees, make sure employee satisfaction is there, make sure our direction of our business is going the right way. But going back to your question, it's like some days I'll have meetings all day. Sometimes I'll have just like this free time where I'm just like thinking of, ways and paths we can take the business, and communicating that with Chris and Mike now, and our other CFO, Coop, and Sander, our COO. So there's a lot of stuff, moving parts every day, and every day is different. Whether it's a freight truck not coming into the warehouse, or the paid ads on Facebook underperforming. So every day is different, and I have to, focus on what is not there and stop being reactive and being proactive. So that's my, my job this year, is to be more proactive on the business.
And again, knowing that every day is going to look different, it's got to be challenging. How do you keep yourself? And you said you lean into your partners, you do that kind of stuff, but like, and you play hoops. Like, hoops is your thing. Is hoops almost like your meditation, your therapy,
That's a good analogy. Yeah, definitely. When I play basketball, just thinking about what's on the court. I don't think about CROSSNET. I don't think about family problems. I don't think about girlfriend problems. I don't care about my dog right now. It's basketball, and I'm just totally zoned out. And it's great feeling.
And I think that's a big thing to note, right? Like, for me, it's evolved. I love meditation. I love journaling. I love hopping on Peloton if I need to, or going for a run. I love artwork. Like, so it's funny that like there's so many different things that I don't want to say you can get lost in, but you can divert your focus to really be present in a moment. Yours right now, and it sounds like it has been for a while, is hoops. So, who's your favorite hoops player? Who's your guy?
Damian Lillard, but I'm a Knicks fan. So, Emmanuel Quickly right now.
All right. Knicks, just by virtue of where you grew up.
Yeah.
I've
been a Knicks fan. It's just really hard to root for the Knicks, the Jets. It's really, really difficult my entire life. So I really, really loved Dame coming out of Weber State. So
yeah, he's the real deal. And obviously down in Bend, you down there, us up here in Portland, like, he's the man up here. He's the man up here. For me, and I mentioned, like, I'm from Ohio, right? I'm a Cleveland everything fan. So, like, Cavs, Browns, Indians, like diehard, all that stuff. So I understand what you're saying about like it's tough. Now, obviously, we had
LeBron.
a good run with LeBron when he came back, right? Like, and I'm grateful for that. Fun story that I'll share. So, literally, when they won the championship that year, I shed a tear. I had my coworker, her dad had given me a flask of Pappy Van Winkle, and real high end bourbon. And that was the first night when they won. I had a victory taste of that. And then the other night was, I shared it, but like when my daughter was born, but like that was one of those moments that I will never forget. We were in Atlanta, and I remember I was pacing back and forth it was phenomenal. And then the Indians almost won it that year too. And that was so my daughter was born in October of that year. She's sleeping. my wife is passed out on the couch and I'm watching the game, and it was like to where I had to be quiet and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And then to be completely let down, and to make matters worse, my wife is a Cubs fan. So that was pretty painful.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, at least you got a ring under your belt, though.
We do. I don't know when the Browns are going to get one.
Yeah,
probably the same time the Jets are going to get one.
Definitely going back to what you were saying, though, is like, whether it's like a sport activity or whatever, like I like going on hikes too in nature here in the mountains, snowboarding. But if you have something that you can just take your focus off your work and your at home situation every day for like an hour, it's huge. It goes a long way.
How do you do that though? Because again, and I'm guilty. Yeah, I can step away and I'm not in a meeting, or I'm not on a call, or I'm not recording a podcast, and I'm supposed to be doing something with my kids, right? But yet here I am, something pops into my head. Oh, hey, who do I need to talk to for this or this? And do you have any tips or tricks that allow you to, like, if something pops into your head when you're playing, or is it just just a random? It doesn't, like, you're just so fine tuned that like you're dialed in.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely dialed in when I'm playing sports for sure. But if in regards to like an idea or something, is that what you're referring to? Or
yeah, well, like, I mean, I guess if you had any tips or tricks about being more present in the moment, particularly when like something like a business, say something pops into your head and you got to worry about this truck or but like, you want to be with your girlfriend. You want to be on this hike, right? Like, do you have anything?
I wish I did, man. I really do.
Yeah.
And this year, that's like my big focus is like my mental health and like personal relationships and having that answer for you. So next time we talk, hopefully I'll have that answer. But I know the answers. It's put down the phone, leave it outside the bedroom, watch a TV show with your significant other or by yourself or whatever you're doing, and relax, just relax, and don't focus on what actually stresses you out. That's the answer. But have I done that successfully in the last 10 years? No, terrible at it. I'm getting better. I am. I'm confident I can say that.
Well, see, now that we're connected, right now, I know that's one thing that I can kick back around and help hold you accountable on too, because just do little check-ins and, hey, how you doing with that? So that's a cool thing. Like, and I love the fact that you admit that that's not a strength, but it's an area that you need to focus on, because I'd imagine like within the startup, within the entrepreneur space, right? Like it is that struggle, it's that battle. So for me to hear that, particularly from somebody, your age and your experience and all that, like, that's huge.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's like I'm done with CROSSNET, right? Well, I'm never done with it, but I work 9 to 4, right? CROSSNET. And then for an hour or two, I'm like going into like NFTs and stuff and like spending thousands of dollars on NFTs. It's like, it doesn't stop. There's always something that like I'm interested in and I'm going to jump on or start. So it's like, it's a crazy ride for sure. And your brain doesn't slow down.
All right, so you hit on something, and here's my disclaimer, and I'll put it, this is not financial advice. This is not any of that stuff. We are not financial advisors, but NFTs are interesting to me, man, and it's just so many people right now. And what's your take on it? Where, like, whatever you're comfortable sharing, whatever you want to talk about, but like, I think that, because I've pinged some of my friends and athletes and like, no, not, I'm like, it's time to start paying attention a little bit. So I'd be curious. I'm curious, maybe your inroads into it, and then kind of where you're at with stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole topic. Like you talk about all day,
Yeah.
But if you're not in it now and you're not focusing, you're going to be left behind. It's the future. Whether the NFTs here currently are here to stay, which most of them probably aren't, in my opinion. I'm not an expert at this. I'm still learning.
Right.
Learning every day and just trying to dive into the space, this Web3 NFT crazy crypto space that we're living in, this metaverse that's coming soon. But no, I think the NFTs, a lot of it's just like pumping money right now, just trying to make quick cash, and like that's people's mindset, and like it's very bad. Like, my mindset has changed to that too, in a sense. It's like trying to make quick money. Let me go buy this NFT for $1,500 and see if it goes to 8,000. And it's like, it does happen, and and then I lose some money too.
So let's take a step back, right? And we're used to throwing NFTs around, and many people may not know what that is, right? So, Cliff's Notes version, the way that you understand it, what are NFTs?
NFTs are, well, for the normal people that don't have any idea what the hell is going on, they're like JPEGs, right? And they have, some of them hold utility, some of them don't. And a lot of them are just for pumping money and making cool art. So there's a lot of different ones, but the ones that will stay are the ones that have utility behind them. So you buy a token and you can NFT, and you can go into a restaurant exclusively, right? And it's the same restaurant LeBron James goes into. So those will hold utility. And then I'm excited to see more projects come out in the near future, in the couple of years or whatever, whenever it starts kicking off to like the public, of like real products that hold utility, real value, and can contribute to society. There's a lot of things that you can actually do with this blockchain NFT stuff.
Yeah. And again, we can go so many different tangents. I mean, because obviously there's different blockchains too, right? Like, Ethereum's the major one that's where I see a lot of people making a lot of money on. My disclaimer, right? Like, I've invested in one NFT community, and it's on the Solana blockchain. And you and I were chatting a little bit about it, High Society, right? Like, but as I'm sitting and learning, it's the things you talked about it's really interesting because it's utility and it's community. Like, those are the two things that for me, as I'm trying to understand, and, there's not a lot of disposable income. We're not printing money, right? Like, so, I mean, we're trying to figure out, well, the government is, but that's a whole nother thing. But like, trying to understand and learn and be part of something that's on the forefront, like, and I'll share, like, so High Society, some of the utilities that are coming around it are unbelievable. And it's a picture of, these dudes, they're called tykes, in all these different getups in different backgrounds. But, they just released this morning, there was a contest within our group that, like, hey, they were giving away 2 tickets to the game tonight, field level tickets to the game tonight, just by virtue of being part of this community and being an NFT holder. So I do think it's interesting. It's going to be the future. One of the guys that I know that runs High Society, I'm working on trying to get him on here to sit and kind of explain a little bit more. But like, the space it's fascinating and it's terrifying at the same time. Yeah,
it's definitely terrifying, especially if you're losing money. But I mean, the one thing I'd suggest to people is just like, dive into it, do your homework before buying, and jump in it. You're going to be left behind. I know Gary Vee said this a lot too. I started watching him again recently. It's like, you're going to get left behind big time if you don't pay attention now. It's just going to be like how the moms and dads didn't jump on Facebook, and they're 10, 20 years later to Facebook. So it's going to happen. It's happening in front of our eyes. Dive into it. Maybe spend $100, $200, and you track it and see how the market plays, and really, so you have something tied to it.
And I'm going to throw it in here, and I'll put it also in the intro. And like, this is not financial advice. That Greg and I are not financial advisors or anything. Like, what you do, talk with your financial advisor and all that stuff. Because again, like, it's interesting to sit and learn, because I understand that there's going to be moments where I'll probably screw up. Like my brother, I was talking with him a month or two ago, and it was when Gary Vee and V Friends, they did version 1, like it was last year sometime, and we were going back and forth, and I had no clue what it was. And this is when Ethereum was, I want to say $1,800 or something like that. And he picked up a couple. He didn't pull the trigger on a version 1 in V Friends, and he texted me in like December, and he goes, "Dude, the one I was going to buy just sold for $54,000, and he could have had it for like it was like $3,600. I think it was 2 ETH." Yeah.
That's the world we're living in right now, unfortunately, for the people that are in this space, and it's it, myself included, and my brother included. Like, we've potentially lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars not buying things that we said we were going to buy, texted it, and then it went up $12,000. So this year I'm trying to avoid that, whether that's by not buying or actually doing what I say, like saying, like, actually being actionable on what you're going to say. But yeah, we're living in this space, and it's like everyone's like so scared of missing out on this quick money, these quick flips, or not. They're so impatient. So it definitely can hurt the mind. And for the people watching that are in the space and know what I'm talking about, just like take a step back and like relax. It's going to be okay. Just be grateful. We're in a time where we can like make money off of a photo on the internet. Like, isn't that crazy?
It's insane. And again, my big thing, and one of the reasons why I started the podcast, right, through COVID and everything, right, is for me lacking community. So that's the other thing that I've learned very quickly in the NFT space, and in particular community I've gotten involved with. It's community based, and I think those are the ones that, again, not financial advice, but I think those are the ones that have a better chance of standing the test of time, because particularly if it's dived in, kind of looped in with utility. But like, that's the big thing. If you've got a group of people that, much like being an entrepreneur, like this is an entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like you've got a group of people that want to see something succeed and that are willing to do whatever it takes to help it succeed. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, for sure. And it's tying CROSSNET back to community is like something we've lacked in the last 4 years. We started CROSSNET just by selling, right? Selling, and then trying to turn it into this sport, this global sport, which it is doing by itself. But we've always forgotten about community and building community. So it's really important when going into this space for any product, any brand you make, anything nowadays, whether it's a CPG good or a tech product, NFTs, community is huge. And you want to be able to call on, your community when the time comes and you need someone. So CROSSNET's working on that this year, and I'm excited to see where it ends up at the end of the year. So we can, call on our community and, hey, we have a tournament in Austin, Texas. Where's our community at? Show up.
That's it, man. Like communities, tribes, you've got guys like, Simon Sinek that are out there, talk about tribes or, and all of that. Like that's what people over the past several years have been missing and lacking, right? Based on, and again, you were down in Florida where it was operating a little different. Up here in Oregon, right? Like, I mean, for 2 years, we've been kind of shut down, at least for the most part. So like, it's to hear you say that about a product is massive, because that is what will help drive success from your perspective. And then who knows where your community will help you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. At the end of the day, like you need community to survive in like the longevity of any business. Apple has their community. If a product drops, they're lining up at the store making appointments. So
people are tuning in, on Twitter to the next announcement for the next Apple product, right? They've created that. They've listened to the consumers, and they've built what they've needed. I mean, I love hearing that. And one thing that you said when we were talking earlier, and then as we were kind of going through stuff, but like your communities is a big thing. And obviously that's where you're focusing a lot of time and energy on. Like, what do you guys have anything that you're working on that you want to, you care to share that helps develop your community? What are you guys doing with that?
Yeah. I mean, we're still learning, right? It's a learning process, especially for a business like ours. We have this one crazy SKU, right? And we keep sending emails out about this one product, and people are definitely exhausted about it. So we're trying to take different angles to get them more involved. And it starts with the customer journey too. It's like when you first get that box, whether it's from our online store, from Amazon, Dick's Sporting Goods, Shields, wherever it may be, you want to open that box and feel like family. The last couple of years, we just haven't had that, right? You open this box and you're getting this great game. Cool. And they're going to set it up. They're going to play it. They're going to tell their friends, sure. But they're not really involved in the business side of things where they can help actually sell for you, which they do. They do now. Like if you set up a CROSSNET at a beach and you're a public consumer, you're going to get eyeballs. People are going to take videos, ask the same questions they'd ask me, right? But if you give these customers within your community incentives and make them feel at home, make them feel part of the family, you'll take your business to the next level. And we're learning. We're learning, and I think next time we talk, we'll have more answers for that too.
I dig it. I completely dig it. And again, that to me something I want to echo is the fact that you guys are constantly evolving. You're trying to understand what it is that you need to do and then continue to evolve your product and your business. And I think that's massive, right? We can't just get stuck in, to your point, what you said, you've got a great product, but now people are just opening it in. It's like, okay, great. It's the one thing. So I love hearing that you guys are evolving. That's amazing.
We're trying to take the Foursquare space by storm too, own everything Foursquare. We have a bunch of new products coming out this year under the CROSSNET name, which is really exciting. CROSSNET Soccer, I'm sure you saw maybe.
Yep.
So that'll be cool for the CROSSNET. It's not going to really be a game. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be played the same way CROSSNET for volleyball does. It's more of a training tool. But I know when I played soccer for my whole life, I was juggling a soccer ball and with 4 people in the square. And it's like,
Yeah.
put a net in it. Let's have a little fun. Introduce it to some practices and clubs. I think it'll go a long way, especially international. So we have a bunch of SKUs coming out. We're trying to just dominate that 4 square space.
Got it. So basically the mission of CROSSNET is to own the 4 square space.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the long-term vision is just get out and play. We want people playing, exercising, mental health. If you get out and play, all your mental health problems, all your, getting in shape problems go out the window because they're solved, but just going out and playing and being active.
To your point, right? It goes back to what you said earlier. Sometimes you just got to put down the damn phone and just go do and go be, whether it be in nature, go be active, go do something.
Yeah. I remember even you remember, I'm sure, when we were kids, a little younger, whatever, 10, 15, the best time in your life was going to play that sport with your friends and in the backyard, at the gym, wherever it was. I used to race off the bus and go play basketball 1-on-1 versus my brother.
Yeah.
Like that was the best childhood memory, going on the trampoline. So that's got to come back. We got to get the kids off TikTok. As awesome as it is, God. It's crazy. We're living in this crazy digital world, and it's bad.
Well, but then we talked NFTs, and that's where it's going. But yes, I can one of my favorite childhood memories, and I literally going and playing football down at my buddy's house, Craig Bolden. He lived down on Linden, down at the end of the street, and we would literally go down there. You go in, you do whatever homework you needed to do, or you convinced your parents that you were going to do your homework after dinner, and then you came home when the streetlights came on. Or my dad had a really loud whistle, he could literally, and you hear it, and it's like, oh, all right, time to go, right? So yes, I agree with that, and that's again, dad of 2 kids, that's the stuff that we try to accomplish, and it's hard in a digital age, but we keep pushing it. I love it.
Absolutely.
I think, Greg, your story and your journey is unique, man. And I'm grateful that you shared different pieces of it. Because again, this conversation is it's different. It's different than any conversation that I've had thus far on the podcast, which is one of my goals, right? I'm not planning on trying to build a volleyball podcast. I'm building a podcast to celebrate people and their stories. And I want to take a quick minute to thank you for being vulnerable. I know we went a couple different places. I know that you spoke about your dad's passing and how that affected you. I know you talked about struggles in business, all these different things. So for me to have you share the things that you have, and again, you and I met last week on a different topic, but here we are, we're having conversation, and it's like we're old friends. And I'm really grateful that you feel comfortable doing that and sharing that with the listeners and with the people that are going to be tuning into this.
Of course. Yeah, no, it means a lot. I'm definitely trying to get better at speaking too, and getting people, eyes open for the way the world's working and what you can do, what you can accomplish, and whether what you've been through doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I want to echo that. What you've been through, it doesn't matter. And one thing that you sent me in kind of our prep, right? It was about, and I want you to touch on it, and then I'm going to go to close. But you talk if you want to do something, you have the opportunity to do it. And I don't have the quote exactly up, but can you touch on that sentiment before we wrap up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like as cliche as it is, right? You can go do anything you want, but a lot of people are just stuck in this mindset. It's like, oh, poor me, poor me. It's like, go out and do. If you have an idea, go talk to people, go network, go try to accomplish your dreams. You literally live once, only once. And if you're not living it how you want to live it, your vision, then what are you doing really? Let's get to it. Everyone can do it. There's enough room to go around. There's enough money to be made. And not entrepreneurship's not for everyone by any means, but if you have that idea, don't be scared. Don't hesitate on your life. It is your life.
Well, and you and I can both speak specifically to it, that life is precious, and it is one of those things that we only get one of them, and it's the only thing that we don't know when it ends. So, I appreciate you sharing that and encouraging people, because again, we have one life to live, and I'm grateful that in this moment in time that you and I are sharing this moment together. So, before I wrap up with the final question, where can our listeners connect with you? What's the best ways?
IG, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm pretty good on LinkedIn nowadays. And I
Oh,
just
look at
made a
you.
TikTok too. So it's a Woe Is Mead, WOEISMEADE on all the platforms. On TikTok, it's just Greg. I bought that for $2,000.
Greg, just Greg.
Greg, I own it.
That's $2,000 you ever spent right there.
Yeah, not yet.
I love it. Well, I'll link all that in the show notes, and I'll link CROSSNET, the website, and all of that stuff. So anybody that's listening wants to go on over there. And then when Greg and I hang up, I think maybe I'm gonna pitch him to see if we can maybe do some sort of contest or some giveaway or something like that. And stay tuned. We'll see if we can get some of you guys a CROSSNET to play, because I mean, again, it's a great product. We want to get people outside moving. So. So Greg, my last question, it's a simple yet profound one. Who is Greg Mead?
Ooh, good question. Greg Mead is someone who's trying to make an impact on the world, whether that's getting people outside playing, realizing what they have in front of them, and definitely leaving a legacy with my family name and making sure my mom's set for life.
Brother, you're speaking to me on that. I absolutely love hearing that.
Yeah, and just to touch on that one more time, like a lot has changed, and like since we started CROSSNET and all this entrepreneurship stuff. Like before, it was just like money, right? Like that's awesome. That's still the goal, is to make money, a lot of money.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, like your mental health, being with your family, like that's super important, and making sure they're taken care of in ways that you can within your your reach. So get that done. Take care of who you love, and strive to be the best.
Dude, that's the perfect way for us to finish that conversation. Those are words to live by, and I'm grateful that you shared them. So I'll link all your contact, everything in the show notes. And if anybody needs anything, reach out to Greg. Let's figure out how we can build that CROSSNET community, and because obviously that's what they're sitting working on, and let's figure out how we can get some more people outside. So Greg, I want to thank you for the time, man. And I'm sure we'll be in touch very soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks again.
Talk to you.
Peace.
I can't thank Greg enough for his vulnerability, willingness to share, and most importantly, his real conversation. I hope that each and every one of you took at least one thing from this episode. For me, some of the quick takeaways include, despite what happens in our lives, good or bad, if we keep moving forward, almost anything is possible, and that we all have one life to live. It's up to us to make the most of it. What were your takeaways? What were you left with? Let me know over on my Instagram at Steve Venzel, SteveVencl, on the post for this episode. Additionally, please share this with someone who may benefit from hearing these words. That's what it's about, sharing people's stories and understanding how to keep moving forward. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, keep moving forward, even if it is just one small step at a time.